Hi and welcome back to my channel. It's me, Lauren, the filmmaker extraordinaire, and today we're talking about sustainability. I was inspired to make this video, one, because I've been trying to live more sustainably for a while and you may have seen snippets of that in some of my past videos. And two, because I've been trying to expand my purpose beyond like work and what I create and like my impact. Obviously, I'm making this video on YouTube and I have a job. So like I am still working and I obviously have value, place a lot of my value still in my job, and I do place a lot of stock into my creative pursuits, but I'm trying to also kind of move my impact and worth beyond like so much me focus. I've been volunteering at the animal shelter to help animals and my local community, along with I give money to my local church, and this is obviously for the planet. I just thought it'd be fun to share, as the title goes, 24 ways to be more sustainable in 2024, because this is the year to do it. Like, if not this year, when, right? Also, I'll have all my sources for these like ideas and some like further info linked down below if you want to dive in further. I'll be categorizing these into three main categories. One is without spending any money, you can do this, or without spending additional money. Like, you're probably doing this anyway, so here's how to not spend more money to do it. And then spending some money up front, and then you're gonna have to spend money on this continuously. Category one, without spending any additional money. This might be the most basic thing you've ever heard, and when I think about this, I just think about my dad, but turn off lights when you're not in the room. And growing up, my dad was always being like, turning off lights, which was also funny because then if you were in a room reading a book or something and he thought it was too dark for you, he'd be like, do you need the light on? And I'm thinking, Dad, you're always telling me to turn the light off. So I guess I just like was traumatized to have the lights on. But it really is just like a really simple way to just, turn the light off when you leave the room. Another, I think, pretty easy one would be if there's an energy saver option on appliances, try to use it. I pretty much use energy saver every time I run the dishwasher, when I'm doing laundry, and I know that Ken use for the dishwasher, it has less water, so if their dishes are really dirty, like if you have like oatmeal and it's really stuck on there, sometimes you gotta do some manual scrubbing afterwards. But to me, it's worth it because I don't mind doing a little bit of manual scrubbing, and it's really my own fault for not running the dishwasher sooner. To be fair, I live by myself, so I only run the dishwasher when it's like full to try to maximize again the efficiency and water usage. So it's really me being good to the environment, not me being lazy and procrastinating and doing the dishes. In the same vein of like appliances and water, use cold water when you can. I'm not saying take a freezing cold shower if you live in Antarctica. I'm saying if you don't need the water to be hot, maybe it can be warm. If it doesn't need to be warm, maybe it can be cold. I always do laundry on cold, not tap cold, because I have read that that's not great, but like just regular cold. That way I'm not putting any extra energy into heating water. And when I take a shower, I like to have a warm shower, but I try not to have like a scalding shower. And when I was younger, I definitely used to have like scalding hot baths, but I have like toned that down. My next tip to be sustainable is a mentality, which is if you're going to buy something, just pause before you buy it. Poof, you did it. Now, to be fair, you can't just pause. You have to do a couple things during the pause. What is this adding to my life? Is there a way to buy this secondhand? Do I have items that already serve this purpose? That sort of thing. And this is not to say you can never buy anything again. I love buying stuff myself, and I am trying to work on this like pause mentality. And sometimes obviously you need, not only do people need new things, but I do believe people also want things. Obviously, like, consumption's killing the planet. I think it's unrealistic to be like, well, that means you should never buy anything you want, because life can really suck. And like individual consumption and consumerism is not killing the planet anywhere near the way that like giant corporations and big tech is destroying the planet. So if you want to buy something, I'm not saying you can't buy it. I'm just saying, because I'm buying stuff for me. Like, I buy stuff for myself. What I am just trying to suggest and what I'm trying to instill in myself is to try to pause before I buy something new. My next tip's more tangible again, and this would be to try to repurpose glass jars. I'm not encouraging you to become a hoarder here. I'm just saying, if you have a jar, maybe you like drinking water out of mason jars or something, or you make your own applesauce, whatever you have reasons for, instead of buying new jars for these things, maybe think, do I kind of get these by myself? Could I try to save some, rinse them out, wash off the label, and then use them for my own purposes instead of just throwing them away? For a little bit of spice in here, let's throw in a community-based sustainability tip, which is instead of buying a bunch of new books all the time, utilize your local library. Not only do libraries have physical books, if you're into the physical books, which I personally like a physical book, they have audiobooks, ebooks, all of them also have movies. Some of them have you can get LinkedIn Learning through. You can get so much stuff through your local library. Again, if you love buying books, you don't have to stop buying books. But if you're trying to consume less stuff and go through less goods as an individual, but you still want to read books, utilize your library. When it's time to say goodbye to old electronics, look to see if there's an e-waste program in your area, or if there's one that's not too far away to get to, or one that maybe you just have to wait a couple weeks for it to come around, because it's so much better to recycle your e-waste instead of just throwing it away. Another way to not spend any more money than you're already spending is that if you get credit card statements or bills or any kind of notification that comes in the mail, try to see if you can get that to come to you paperlessly over the email. Obviously, I understand email doesn't work for everybody's mentalities. I do know some people who really like to have a physical bill they can see paid off, no problem. But just consider it. If you do check your email regularly, you'll see it come in and you'll know to be looking out for it, and it just means less paper that goes straight into the recycle bin. Another free sustainable tip is to try to walk more. I don't mean walking more for exercise purposes, although that is a perk. I mean, you're gonna go somewhere and it's a safe distance for you health-wise, the weather's good, everything is fine for you to walk there and back, no problemo. Why don't you walk? I personally live in Los Angeles and not in like the downtown area, like the NoHo area. So though I am in walking distance to my library, which I do enjoy walking to, and a couple little stores, I can't walk that easily to a lot of places. So I have to drive. And that's fine. I don't want anyone to feel like, you should not feel guilty for having to take a mode of transport that you have to take that works for you in your schedule for safety, health, and any other concern you may have. It's just things to try to consider, try to be more sustainable. Going back to tech, because I didn't put this in any kind of order when I originally wrote this out, don't just buy a new device just because there's a new one out. If your phone or computer is working fine, you don't just need to get a new one. And if something's bust or being weird, see if you can try to repair it or replace that part instead of getting a whole new device. For instance, my phone's charging port was really acting up. I was really freaking out about it, didn't know what to do. And my dad was like, why don't you just see if you can get that part replaced? And I did. It was great. My final free / not spending any more money than you already have spent sustainable tip is to eat the food you already have. Now, I really struggle with this personally. I do try to work on this as someone with, eating disorder past and food issues. I, try to have always food that I will eat, but sometimes I really can't eat stuff. And I have been doing literally so much better with that since I've been seeing a dietitian and I've been in therapy for a while. So I am doing loads better with it. But every now and then I still get in I'm not a make great mental phase and I feel like I'm wasting food because I just buy food that I just don't eat. So I really try to now I'm doing my meal planning where I try to check through my fridge, see what I have that's gonna go bad soon, so I can try to eat that. And I also utilize the freezer because that can really extend the lifespan of your food. We're now moving on to the spending money upfront category. I'm sure you've heard of this, but if you're a straw girly, get a reusable straw. I have one reusable straw, and if ever I want to feel kind of bougie for some reason and drink whatever I'm drinking out of a straw, I take it out of the drawer, pop it in, and when I'm done, I put it in the dishwasher. Because you do have to wash those. But it's really easy, very convenient. And you can also get like metal, mine's rubber, but you can get ones that are like more metal and can fold and actually carry them, like transport around. Maybe if I like traveled more out and about and I was going out to eat more, I would, and I like really liked straws, I would do that. But usually when I go out to eat, I just don't have a straw. This next one is one I just bit the bullet on, which was to get reusable like cotton pads or cotton rounds or whatever it is you want to call it. Because I don't wear makeup that much and I don't do my nails that much, but every now and then I do, and I need something to take the makeup off, take the nail polish off, etc. And I have like the cotton things right now, not cotton balls, but they're like the brown ones, and when I'm done with them, I just chuck them. I finally decided to spend a little bit more money up front. I was basically ordering some other skincare products because my old ones were running low, so I was like, time for a restock. And I saw them and I was like, you know, I'm trying to live more sustainably and this is a good way to just start doing it. And basically, when you're done with them, you put them in this little mesh bag and then you can wash that bag like with your regular clothes in the laundry. When you're looking for clothes, if for whatever reason, secondhand clothes, thrifting's not available, because I know personally, as someone who lives in LA and there's lots of thrift stores, sometimes there's literally nothing that you, not even, maybe even in your size, like even if there's stuff in your size, you don't like it. And you certainly should not be buying stuff you don't like just because it's in your size. Then the 2 pointers I kind of have there that are kind of in the same point. One would be to try to, if you can afford it, try to invest in a piece of clothing that will hopefully last longer, because fast fashion and just kind of like going through pieces, checking them, takes not only human energy and resources, but like so much water for clothing, and it can, like, depending on the product and the quality, can just wear out. And obviously I know that not everyone can afford more expensive clothing. I use the website Good On You, and I try to buy clothes from brands that are more ethical, but it's hard because sometimes that's just not in your budget. Although, like, in a perfect world, like, we could prioritize certain things, like life happens. So I don't think it's worth beating yourself up about, but it's just like, if you have the opportunity to try to buy clothing that hopefully, again, has a good reputation to last and has a good, you know, ethical sustainability report. Going along with the washable, reusable theme, which is a big one with the buying up front, obviously, is when you're cleaning, instead of just using paper towels, also use microfiber cloths. I know some people only use like microfiber cloths or reusable paper towels, and that's great. I'm not at that level yet, but like cleaning the bathroom, cleaning counters and everything, I always use like the microfiber cloths because they're easy. They also don't leave any kind of smudges like on mirrors or anything. And yeah, they're easy to wash. But like some kitchen stuff, like not like the counters, but sometimes like pans, grease, I really just prefer to have a paper towel for that sort of thing, personally. Along with the kitchen paper products, if you like napkins, consider cloth napkins. I am currently using up some paper napkins that I got and I've had for a while, because if you already have something, you're not being more sustainable by them throwing it away. Like that's literally useless. And I like napkins. I don't currently have cloth napkins yet, but I'm hoping to get some in the semi-near future. But for now, I'm just kind of going through my current napkin supply, but that is the plan. And again, just like kind of add them to the wash with like the rest of the kitchen towels and stuff. And because we're hammering in the reusable theme, get yourself a reusable water bottle, and one that you will actually use. Because I'm sure you've gotten at least one, if not several, free water bottles throughout your life. I know I've gotten several, and some of them I like, and some of them I don't. And some of them, even though I like to look at, I don't actually like to use. I recently got a $10 water bottle, and I've been using it pretty consistently. I'm very proud of myself actually for that, because it has like the time of day that I'm supposed to be drinking the water from. And that's like that's my water bottle. I know there's been recently the Stanley Cup craze, and a bunch of people with like 30 Stanley Cups. And it's like, what's the point of reusable water bottles if you have 40 of them? Another one, try to use reusable shopping bags. I know I have some. Sometimes you bring some and then it's just like not enough if the shopping trip turns out to be like a way bigger one than you expect, and you can't help that. But you can at least try your best. Literally, you could also reuse like any kind of plastic bag. I do understand depending on the strength of the bag and the weight of the groceries, that doesn't always work out positively in the end. But any way to try to limit new bag usage is positive. The final reusable thing I have for you is, if it works out, try to get rechargeable batteries. I know that some people are like, oh, but those batteries aren't as good. And while I do hear you, most likely what you're doing with the batteries is not like a life or death situation. Like for me, my camera batteries are rechargeable, right? And if the battery starts to charge isn't lasting as long, like it's not the end of the world. That's a situation you can judge for yourself on a personal level. But you never know, it could help. And then you don't have to keep buying those like giant packs of batteries from Costco or Staples or Best Buy or wherever people buy batteries. In the tune of recharging, if you're thinking about getting a new vehicle, consider hybrid or electric options. When I got my car, I really wanted a Prius, but I was shopping for cars in summer of 2022 when there were no cars to be found anywhere in Los Angeles. I did not get a hybrid car or an electric car. And I was pretty bummed about that, but at the same time, like most people, I think we are under the impression that we can only do what we can when we can do it. Like there's no point in taking on huge financial strain if it's going to set you up for a lot of problems down the road. If you can't afford the car, like don't get the car, you know what I mean? But if possible, at least think about it, consider it, and see what can happen there. And then the last thing can go way back to something I mentioned a long time ago about energy saver for the laundry. If possible, instead of using a dryer for everything, try to use a drying rack. Now for me, depending on what the thing is, I kind of have to use the dryer because I only have so much space in my little apartment, and I do laundry in like major bulk. If I'm doing like multiple loads of wash, I do try to do the dryer in one load, and then anything that I think will get like pilled, or if it's like the kind of rougher towels, and maybe someone in the comments will be like, you're destroying your clothes. Anything that's like too delicate, I'll like dry on the drying rack, or like I'll try to hang in the bathroom a little bit, just to try to do everything in like the one load then there, if possible. And I know I could probably do better at that. And I'm not making this list to be like, these are everything I do perfectly. These are just things I'm trying to do better. And this is an upfront cost because you have to buy the drying rack if you don't have one already. The final category is spending money as you go. I only really have 3 things to talk about here. And the first one is try to buy larger bottles or containers of products you use less frequently instead of smaller ones more frequently. Because if you're using the product consistently, you're gonna use the product anyways. And then you're using less glass or less plastic or whatever to contain said product. And again, this is the kind of thing where if you can afford it, because usually larger products or bulk products cost more money up front. And this is not an upfront cost though, because you have to keep buying this, if it's a product you use regularly. But if you can afford it, it is, I think, better for the environment because there's less containers being used over the course of your whole life cycle with this product. The next one is to try to use refillable products. For instance, I use a refillable like sort of soap thing where I have my one soap container, and then my mom actually introduced me to these kind of like soap tablets that come in these compostable little packets, so it's not like more waste. Those are good for the planet. And then you just have to like combine them with warm water, and then it becomes soap instead of getting like new soaps every time, which I think is really nice. I know there's also refillable deodorants. I'm currently finishing up my deodorants that I bought like in bulk pack. Again, I'm not gonna just throw the ones I already have out without using them because that's not helping the problem here. When I'm done with those deodorants, I'm gonna be looking into other brands to see which one I think might work for me. With my razor, I have one like body stick thing, and I just get like tops instead of getting like a full disposable razor blade every time. So I think things like that can just really make a big difference over your whole life. This last one took me a little bit to come up with because I was really struggling with my 24 things that felt sort of personal to me is public transportation when possible. And this is because public transportation is not free, right? You're going to keep paying for this as you go. And again, this is not always possible. In LA, public transit is a really hit or miss depending on where you want to go. For me, I have not had a lot of success with it where I want to go, but I know some people have used it very well, and I hope eventually I'll have a better sense of where it goes. But when I was in Philadelphia, I loved using the public transit. When I was in North Jersey, going into the city or going around, I loved the subways, the train. And like my company, if I were to commute on the train or the bus or whatever, there's like pre-tax commuter benefits I could even be using, which is really nice because I know the company at least pretends that it cares about the environment. So I don't really have a good closing there, but those are a bunch of things that I mentioned to try to be more sustainable. And I know it might seem like hard, and I'm obviously not doing a ton of those things, but I think if we all just think about what we can do, we can make a difference, at least a little bit. And if we all make a little bit of difference, that will matter a lot. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please comment down below your ideas on being sustainable, any tips you have for me, or anything you want to kind of give yourself to be accountable for moving forward. And don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.